The cameras weren't supposed to be rolling. What happened in that hallway wasn't meant for our eyes. But someone left a feed running, and what we're about to show you changes everything you thought you knew about the night John Cena walked away from Saturday night's main event, December 13, 2025. A date that will be seared into wrestling history forever. While millions watched Cena's final bow in the ring, while commentators waxed poetic about legacy and sacrifice, something else was unfolding in the shadows backstage. Something raw. Something brutal. Something that Jon Moxley made damn sure happened before the greatest of all time disappeared into the night. Listen, before we go any further, I need you to understand something. What you're about to witness isn't just another backstage segment. This isn't a worked shoot for the cameras. This is the real deal, and if you don't hit that like button right now, if you don't share this with every wrestling fan you know, you're complicit in letting this moment disappear into the void. The wrestling establishment doesn't want you to see this. They want you to remember Saturday night's main event as a celebration, as a triumph, as a fairy tale ending. But Jon Moxley has never been interested in fairy tales, has he? And neither should you be. The footage starts shaky. Someone's phone. Maybe a production assistant. Maybe a ring crew member who knew they were capturing something that mattered. The timestamp reads 11:47 p.m. The main event had wrapped 30 minutes earlier. Cena had delivered his speech, the one that had grown men in the audience wiping their eyes, the one where he thanked the fans and talked about passing the torch and all those beautiful lies we tell ourselves when legends decide they've had enough. But Jon Moxley wasn't in that ring for the celebration. He wasn't slapping Cena on the back with all the other superstars who gathered to send him off. No, Moxley was waiting, hunting. And when John Cena finally walked down that corridor, sweaty and exhausted and probably thinking about his wife and his next movie role and anything except what was about to happen, that's when the lunatic fringe struck. You can hear it first. Moxley's voice cutting through the backstage noise like a chainsaw through silk. We need to talk, Johnny. Not John. Not Cena. Johnny. Like they were old friends. Like Moxley had earned the right to strip away the persona and speak to the man underneath. The camera swings around a corner and there they are. Cena, still in his gear, a towel around his neck. Security hovering nervously at a distance. And Moxley, looking like he'd just crawled out of a street fight, his hair wild, his eyes wilder. Now here's where it gets interesting. Cena doesn't look surprised. That's what jumps out when you watch this footage, really watch it. He doesn't look shocked or confused or even annoyed. He looks resigned. Like he'd been expecting this. Like maybe he'd been hoping for it. Mox, he says, and his voice is tired but there's something else there. Respect? Fear? Recognition of a kindred spirit? You tell me, because I've watched this clip 200 times and I still can't figure it out. If you're not subscribed to Ring Rumble yet, I genuinely don't understand what you're waiting for. We're the only channel brave enough to show you what really happens when the cameras supposedly stop rolling. We're the only ones willing to risk everything to bring you the truth. That little subscribe button isn't just a click, it's a statement. It says you're ready for reality, not the sanitized corporate version of wrestling they want to feed you. It says you stand with us. And trust me, after you see what comes next in this footage, you're going to want to be part of this community when the fallout begins. Moxley steps closer. The camera quality isn't perfect but you can read his body language clear as day. This isn't a man looking for a fight. This is a man looking for answers. You're really doing this, he asks Cena. You're really just walking away? After everything. And Cena, God bless him, doesn't give the PR answer. He doesn't launch into the speech about listening to his body or spending time with family or any of the rehearsed garbage he fed the live audience. He just nods. Once. Slowly. And says, yeah, Mox. I'm done. The silence that follows lasts maybe 5 seconds but it feels like an eternity. You can hear equipment being moved in the distance. Someone laughing. Normal Saturday night backstage chaos. But in that bubble around these two men, time has stopped. Moxley's jaw clenches. His fists ball up and for a moment, just a moment, you think he might swing. Security thinks so too because they tense up, ready to intervene. But then something unexpected happens. Something I absolutely was not prepared for and I guarantee you won't be either. Moxley's face crumbles. Not a lot. He's too tough for that, too proud. But there's a crack in the armor. You know what you meant to us, he says, and his voice has dropped to barely above a whisper. The camera operator has to move closer to pick it up. You know what you meant to kids like me who grew up watching you prove that good guys could win? That you could be the hero and still be the best. Cena's expression doesn't change but you see his throat work like he's swallowing something hard. You knew that, Moxley continues, and you're still leaving us in this mess? You're still walking away while the industry you built is eating itself alive. This is the part where you need to pay attention because what Cena says next is going to be quoted for decades. Mark my words. Historians will point to this moment as the night the old guard officially acknowledged the new reality. I'm not leaving you in a mess, John, Cena says, and now he's the one stepping forward. They're chest to chest, icon to rebel. I'm leaving you the keys to the kingdom. What you do with them isn't my problem anymore. It's your responsibility. Yours and the others who give a damn about what this business becomes. The anger comes flooding back into Moxley's face. Don't put that on me, he snarls. Don't make this about passing some imaginary torch. You want out? Fine, get out. But don't pretend this is some noble sacrifice. You're abandoning ship and you know it. The words hang in the air like poison. Security moves in slightly, but Cena waves them off with one hand. He's still in control. Even now, even in his final hours as an active wrestler, John Cena commands every room he occupies. Drop a comment right now and tell me who you think is right in this confrontation. Is Moxley out of line for calling out a legend on his way out the door? Or is Cena taking the coward's way out, leaving when the industry needs him most? Because I'll tell you something, this isn't a simple answer. This isn't heel versus face. This is two men who've given everything to this business having a fundamental disagreement about what loyalty means. And honestly, I see both sides. That's what makes this footage so devastating. Cena takes a deep breath. When he speaks again, the exhaustion in his voice is so profound it's almost painful to hear. You want to know the truth, Mox? The real truth. He doesn't wait for an answer. I'm 48 years old. My knees sound like bubble wrap every morning. I've had 17 surgeries. 17. I can't remember the last time I woke up without pain, but you know what? I'd work through all of that. I'd work until I literally couldn't stand if I thought it mattered. But it doesn't. Not anymore. He gestures vaguely toward the arena. Those fans out there? They love the memory of John Cena. They love what I represented 15 years ago. But they don't need me now. They need you. They need hungry, angry, desperate men who'll fight to make wrestling matter again. I can't be that anymore. Maybe I never really was. The vulnerability in that admission is staggering. This is John Cena, the man who built an empire on never giving up, admitting defeat, admitting obsolescence. And Moxley, you can see it on his face, wasn't prepared for that level of honesty. His anger deflates slightly, replaced by something more complex. Frustration mixed with understanding mixed with grief for what's being lost. So that's it, Moxley says after a long pause. The great John Cena rides off into the sunset and leaves the rest of us to figure out how to fill the void. There's less venom in his voice now. More sadness. Cena actually smiles at that. A small, tired smile. No, he says. The great John Cena gets out of the way so Jon Moxley and everyone else can build something better than what I left behind. You don't need to fill my void. You need to create your own legacy. And you can't do that with me taking up oxygen in the room. Before we continue, you need to share this video. I'm serious. Share it on Twitter, on Facebook, send it to your group chats. The wrestling world needs to see this. The conversation happening in this hallway is the conversation that's been needed for years, and if we don't amplify it, if we don't make noise about it, it gets buried under the next news cycle and forgotten. You have power here. Use it. Share this video and make sure everyone knows what really happened on December 14th. The footage continues. Moxley runs his hands through his hair, a gesture of pure frustration. You make it sound so simple, he says. Like I can just step up and everything falls into place. But you had the machine behind you, John. You had Vince, you had the writers, you had the entire corporate structure designed to make you succeed. What do I have? What do any of us have except each other and the hope that we're tough enough to survive? Cena's response is immediate and sharp. You think I had it easy? You think the machine was my friend? He laughs, but there's no humor in it. The machine wanted me to be a puppet, John. It wanted me to read scripts and smile on command and never question anything. I had to fight for every ounce of creative control I ever got. I had to politic and scheme and sometimes be a real bastard backstage just to have a say in my own career. The difference between you and me isn't opportunity. It's that I was willing to play their game long enough to change the rules. You just flip the board over and start your own game. I actually admire that. I wish I'd had the guts to do it your way. This is the moment. This is the turning point in the conversation. You can see Moxley's entire demeanor shift. The anger drains away completely, replaced by something almost like understanding. He's not hearing what he expected to hear. He came here to confront a deserter, but he's finding a comrade. Why didn't you tell people that? Moxley asks quietly. Why didn't you let them see the real fight you were having? Cena shrugs. Because John Cena the character couldn't afford to show weakness. Because admitting the struggle would have undermined everything I was trying to build. You get to be honest, John. You get to tell the world you're angry and frustrated and barely holding it together. That's your appeal. But I had to be Superman every single day for 20 years. And Superman doesn't complain. Superman doesn't admit he's tired. He just keeps fighting until he can't anymore. He pauses. Well, I can't anymore. The raw honesty of this exchange is almost too much to process. These are two of the toughest men in professional wrestling, standing in a hallway, having the kind of conversation that would have been impossible in any other context. The goodbye that was supposed to be all pomp and circumstance has become something far more real and far more important. Moxley extends his hand. Not for a shake. Just holding it out there, palm up, and offering. "I don't agree with you leaving," he says. "I think we need you. I think the kids out there need you. But I respect that you've earned the right to make this choice. And I promise you something, John. I promise that we won't let this business die. We won't let it become just another corporate entertainment product. There are enough of us who still care, who still bleed for this, to keep it real." Cena looks at the offered hand for a long moment before grasping it firmly. "That's all I needed to hear," he says. "That's the only thing that makes this okay. Knowing that there are still people who understand what we're really doing here. It's not about wins and losses. It's not about championships or main events. It's about connecting with people. It's about mattering. Don't ever forget that, Mox. The day you forget that is the day you should walk away too." They stand there, hands clasped, two generations of wrestling excellence acknowledging each other in the most fundamental way possible. And then Cena does something that breaks me every single time I watch this footage. He pulls Moxley into a hug. A real hug. Not a bro hug. Not a performative gesture. Just one warrior embracing another. Saying goodbye the only way men like them know how. The embrace lasts maybe 10 seconds before they break apart. Cena claps Moxley on the shoulder. "Go make them remember why they fell in love with this in the first place," he says. Then he walks away down the corridor, toward whatever comes next in his life, leaving Moxley standing alone under the harsh backstage lighting. The camera holds on Moxley's face for another few seconds. You can see him processing everything that just happened, working through the emotions. And then, just before the footage cuts out, he nods to himself. A decision made. A burden accepted. This is what really happened backstage at Saturday night's main event. Not the sanitized version. Not the corporate narrative. This is the truth, captured accidentally by someone who left a camera running. Jon Moxley and John Cena, having the conversation that needed to happen, saying the things that needed to be said, passing something intangible but absolutely crucial from one generation to the next. So here's what I need you to do. Hit that like button if this footage meant something to you. Subscribe to Ring Rumble because we're going to keep bringing you the stories that matter, the moments that the establishment doesn't want you to see. And comment below with your thoughts on what this means for the future of professional wrestling. Is Cena's departure the end of an era or the beginning of something better? Can Moxley and the others really carry the torch? Or are we watching the slow decline of an industry that's lost its way? Whatever happens next, we witnessed something special here. Something true. And in a business built on working the marks, on blurring reality and fiction until nobody knows what's real anymore, the truth matters more than you know.